Dear Billie Jo, for the life of me, I do not understand how you could have left those babies with Leilani. What with her history of substance abuse and bad decisions, to the point where you became legal guardian and provider of those boys. I, along with so many, cannot wrap my head around it. But I'll be honest with you. I believe you are in disbelief yourself. When I look at you, I see a broken woman, lost, and desperate for answers. The pain I see is raw and real. Your heart as a mother is broken. Your Nana heart shattered. You have real regrets. No one could convince me otherwise. You know, there is something primal about being a mother. It's that thing some refer to as mama bear. It's an instinct surpassed by no other. It is unconditional love, strength, wild-eyed courage, and ferocity, all at the same time. It is lined with a sixth sense, an intuition that when focused reveals truth. But sometimes that truth is too painful to bear, resulting in a refusal to accept it. I'll never forget the day I first saw your interview on the news, when all this began. That is the day I knew, just like you knew, how difficult it must have been to give life to those words outside your mind. And later, when you typed out that social media message, that must have felt like you were being gutted. To know your child is responsible for, at the very least, the disposal of her child, your grandchild, like everyday trash. That is pain no one should ever know. I'm willing to bet your pain is coupled with frustration. You have questions too, and I'm willing to bet they go unanswered, or the answers you do get remind you of the lying behavior that is Leilani's second nature. Or maybe you don't ask, because you already know in your heart. But hearing those words, or the lies, confirm your worst fears. What did she say when asked about what she was doing on the night of October 4th? What drugs or alcohol did she partake in? Why was the back door open in the wee hours of the morning? Did she ever leave the house that night, or in those wee hours, or after Danny left for work? Why did she lie to you and the police about Bubba taking Quinton? Why did she wait until prompted by someone else to call police? Why did she not fly out the door screaming for Quinton? Why didn't she jump into that pool herself searching for him? Or beat on neighbors' doors for help? Or look in the ditch where he's been seen before? You have to admit, her behavior is not that of an innocent person, or even a person who doesn't remember. I too have grandbabies. They are the light of my life. Being part of their lives is one of the greatest joys I have ever experienced. The thought of anyone harming a hair on their head is enough to stir up that primal ferocity that pales in comparison only to that of their mother. When I think about little Quinton, I realize that's what was missing. Not from you, but from your daughter, his mother, Leilani. Where was that roar and wail summoned from a place deep inside reserved only for a mother whose child has been ripped away from her? That, Billie Jo, that was and is missing from Leilani. You know it. She knows it. Your family knows it. Your neighbors and community know it. The FBI knows it. The whole world knows it. Where is the desperation? I once lost sight of my child on a playground. You'd have thought I'd lost my mind. My screams and panic summoned the radar of every mother in the vicinity. They recognized my fear and despair causing them to spring into action alongside me. The rallying cries matched mine until she was found. There is something about primal sound. It's undeniable. And as recognizable as that sound is, there is only one other sound that challenges it: the sound of silence. And it speaks volumes. That is the sound we hear from Leilani. It can't be blamed on her age or her childhood. I was a young mother, like millions of other women, and a choice had to be made to prioritize our children over our own selfish desires. And it is a choice. This letter isn't to chastise you. It isn't to tell you what a bad mother you were when your children were growing up. It isn't to blame Leilani's actions on her upbringing. I won't even entertain the excuses that might pile up because there are none. I have no interest in dissecting your past or present history of addiction, rap sheet, or mistakes. It isn't to scream how you should have never left your grandbabies with Leilani when you were the legal custodian. You already know this. You think about it night and day. You know you can't go back in time. You are devastated. This is where I disagree with some of Quinton's justice warriors. I don't see smugness or an emotional void in you, although I do see those things in Leilani. The interview you and Leilani did is a prime example. What an amazing comparison of true grief in one of the worst attempts at manufactured grief I've ever witnessed. Seeing Leilani next to you, watching her feigned tears and anguish, was insulting because it was not authentic. But your pain, your agony and desperation, it spoke that primal language that cannot be faked, mimicked, or cloned. Your eyes searched her face, imploring her to be truthful. When she was not, you couldn't bear to look at her. I don't have to ask you why, because it is obvious. You know her better than anyone. Not because of her record of truth, but because of her record of lies. You have seen it all before, but this time, it can't be dismissed. No one can save her from herself. Billie Jo, you have the power and responsibility to do one of the hardest things you will ever do aside from laying that grandbaby to rest. It's something only you can do, and it needs to be done soon. You must demand Leilani tell the truth. Do not accept any more of her lies or manipulative diversions. No more pointing of fingers. What did she do? Why did she lie? Allow her no comfort or peace until she tells the truth. You don't have to turn your back on her, but you sure as heck can make her uncomfortable. Every time she wakes up, be sitting there, waiting, and start asking questions. The hard ones. When she goes to eat, ask them again. In every crevice and corner of your home, put up photos and play videos of him. Let her have no waking moment without his memory, image, or the thought of what she did, staring her right in the face. As hard as this may be to do, and as hard as it may be for her to finally admit it, it has to be done. Quinton deserves that. Your other grandchildren deserve that. Leilani has made her choices, and she will have to pay the price for her decisions. You will have to accept and live with your own consequences. Pick up the pieces and try to move forward for Zane, Sky, and the rest of your family. It isn't going to be easy, but if you've proven anything in your life, it is that you are strong and resilient. The arena you are about to enter is going to require strength in a way you have never known. Now is not the time to fall back into old patterns. This season will require the clearest of minds. Billie Jo, I implore you, tap into the prowess within, awaken your primal instinct, and be willing to demand and accept the truth at whatever the cost. The Advocate.